Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Andrea Silvestro. Today is a very special video because I am listening to a Patreon request. Thank you so much to my patrons for supporting me. If you want me to react to any musical performance, feel free to subscribe to my Patreon and you can do that. So anyways, this is the John Farnham Help performance live with the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra. Truthfully, I don't really know who John Farnham is, but I know this is the cover of the Beatles song, so that's the one thing I do know. So I'm going in here blind, first time watching this. So let's get on with the video.
Here's an oldie but a goodie.
Okay. I did also research he's like an Australian singer before my time though, so I don't really know him. I'm sorry y'all. I'm excited. Like that magnitude of music back then is crazy to me.
When I was younger, so much younger than today, I never Thank you.
This performance like already gives me chills, like the fact that you can hear the audience, like it's such a special feeling. Like I have chills just from hearing the audience sing back the words. Like I know this was like the Beatles, so like obviously everyone knows this song, but it's like a wild experience probably to even hear that many people singing back at you. Even if it's not your song, it's still your concert. I'm excited to hear his voice because we heard a little bit and it sounded really cool.
Thank you.
What a beautiful intro. Like there's so much texture in his voice and I'm like, it's just so stripped down, but in a way that I think is way more powerful than something super produced. And you can tell he's really resonating with this song. And I just love like that kind of like texture in his voice that we hear. Like I'm excited to hear the rest of this. It's so early into the performance, but already
Won't you please?
Like that part, like please, but it had so much texture in it. It just felt so desperate. And adds to the emotion.
Help me.
So good, like those like upward runs and everything, or like the attack on it too, and you hear like the
seems to vanish in the head, but every now and then
I just love like but every now and then, like he's basically like kind of playing with his voice more instead of just like hitting it straight. It's kind of like but every now and then, it's just kind of swelling it. And also he has like the extra like texture and that little bit of raspiness, so it's like making it sound even cooler. That's really with the vocabulary today, Andrea, but it just sounds like more interesting. Like I really like his tone. It's
I feel so insecure.
Feel so insecure. Like that little run off. that run too, like it just seems like improvised but in a really like powerful way. Like I love when things kind of sound like a little bit rougher around the edges and like have more like rasp and things like that. Like it just sounds more live and sounds more natural and sounds more human, so I really like it.
I feel so insecure, and I know that I just need you like I've never done before. Help me if you can, I'm feeling down, and I do appreciate you being around. Oh, help me get my feet back on the ground.
Those vocals.
Won't you please, help me?
The background vocals were so good in that moment too. Like when they cut to them, it really made me like pay attention to them more instead of them getting lost in the mix. So I really liked that. Seeing all the old haircuts and stuff is so funny too. Like how the mustache like mullet thing is coming back too. It's just funny how things do that.
Won't you please, help? That's my passion.
Sax solo, we love that. I really love the hype for the saxophone player. I feel like I enjoy seeing instruments up on stage. Like I know that that's how music should work, but I really always love seeing like the band and I love seeing the instruments because I feel like we've kind of been in this era of like everything's a lot more computerized. Like it's all to a track, like it's not live sometimes. And I don't really like that. I like when you can hear like the live instruments. Like it really does add like a different atmosphere and different vibe to the song. And I just appreciate it a lot more in terms of musicianship and also just musicality. So anyways, moving on. John Farnham. I can tell why he was very famous because like he has a great voice and then it's like the flowing hair too. Great combo. Also, he's Australian, so that's cool.
When I was young, so much younger than today, I never needed anybody's help in any way. But now those days are gone, no, I'm not so self-assured. Now I find I've changed my mind. I've opened up the door. Help me if you can.
That's so cool. Okay, I want to go back because like before like what continues or whatever, his vibrato is so interesting to me because it's like kind of a raspy vibrato. Like I was kind of trying to place why his voice sounded in this way, but like when he's vibrato, like vibrato is like when your notes are kind of like sustaining, like and if you have higher vibrato, like you can hear more of that sustain and like that note kind of not bending, like shaking. But his vibrato is like raspier, so it sounds really interesting. But
I never needed anybody's help in any way.
it's like help in any way. Like instead of it sounding more clean because of that raspy vibrato, it just sounds really textured and really nice. And I feel like it's adding a lot to his performance. Like that's something I couldn't place. I was like, why does his voice sound like kind of rougher, you know? But I like it. It's really, I think it adds to the emotion too. Like I can tell he's really emotionally connecting also from his facial expression and him like with this dramatic like mic and he's moving it and the mic stand and everything. Like you can tell he's really feeling it. But especially with his voice, especially like that raspiness, and it just adds a lot to the song and adds a lot to his tone. And I really like it. That's something that I was trying to place this whole time, but
So much when I was young,
I also love like the little runs that they do, like they don't go, like very, very minimal, but just it keeps it interesting. But I also just like how overall the notes sound. But it's also his tone, like, you know.
I'm not so self-assured. Now I find I've changed my mind. I've opened up the door. Help me if you can.
Chills.
I'm feeling down. And I do my best to get you be around. Help me get my feet back on the ground. Won't you please, please help me? Won't you
So dramatic, I love it. Like the band comes in at the last note. I want to go back for the last minute and break it down a little bit.
Thank you, Melbourne.
That was sick. Okay. So let's go back to like the part that gives me chills. It's this section, like just like the lights too, and the emphasis on that down note with the entire band. It's like just very chilling, like visually and sonically.
I've opened up the door. Help me if you can.
The background vocals too. And then this crowd, it's like, come on guys, chills.
I'm feeling down.
And it's just so expertly, when you have the live band, it adds so much. Like you can have the drums come in right there and it emphasizes that entrance and emphasizes his note and just like kind of brings like an energy to the song that would be lacking if we didn't have like a live instruments. Like live drums is so important, and like I love being able to hear like the background vocals at all times and bass.
I do my best to get you be around.
That was cool. Ooh, it just feels very improvised, and I like that sound a lot. When things don't sound like super perfect and super polished, like kind of having like some personality, some texture, like somewhere that we go with it that's more emotionally based. Like I really think that's the most important part. Like instead of being like perfectly always like perfectly hitting every note, like I just think this is so much more interesting to listen to, like kind of overall the emotional connectivity as well as just the overall tonal qualities of his voice. I like hell, which kind of sounded like dragged out a bit and very casual. Loved it.
Thank you, Melbourne.
Thank you, Melbourne.
Be careful. Thank you.
Be careful. I'm so sorry, I can't do an Australian accent at all. I totally understand why my patron wanted me to watch this. I think it's super chilling to see like the crowd interaction. Like I think John Farnham, I've never really watched anything by him, but like you can tell why he's famous at this time. Like first off, he has like a great voice. It's great like in terms of emotional connectivity, like the tone's interesting. Like I really like his vibrato that's like kind of more raspy, and just his overall tone is just cool. But then additionally, like the reason why he probably became so famous was really him and his ability to connect with the audience, like kind of his vibe as well. Like on stage, like you can tell he has that confidence, like he has that musician kind of charm. That's kind of what I'm getting from him. He also has like the hair. Like I totally understand like why this man was famous, and it's not just because of like the looks and the vibe, it's also the musicianship and like the singing as well. Like he really, I think, transformed that song and made it like an even more emotional journey versus like the Beatles version. And I also love how he took it in a different direction for sure, and improvise like inflections, etc. throughout, and I think it made it a lot more powerful and unique and interesting. So overall, I really liked this. I would love to do more of this kind of era of music as well, because I feel like more so I do more modern music, and it's just such a different vibe seeing like the older performances and like the how music used to be, like when it was centered around live instruments. Like it was just so different versus now where everything's more computerized. And from how I've seen it, I feel like a lot of these instruments are kind of coming back and people are liking the sound of something more live that seems more real and tangible. So I love to be able to listen to different elements that the band provided us with. I guess the orchestra, Symphony Orchestra, provided us with. Super cool. Thank you so much for sending this my way. I really liked watching it. I think that I've become more appreciative of this era of music more so as I have gotten older, and I'm always like fascinated by this time period as well. Just like seeing the crowd, it's so wild. The blast from the past for real. But anyways, feel free to let me know what else I should watch. If you want to go request something, go subscribe to my Patreon, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
'Cause there's no boats in the city, there's no cotton candy skies. Palm trees will not survive. You travel, guys.